Chapter 2. How and Why Child Abuse Creates Shame. If you are a victim of abuse in your childhood, chances are you still suffer from the negative effects of this traumatic experience. These effects may include self-criticism, neglect, self-destruction, drug addiction, eating disorders, and perfectionism. The victims also tend to sabotage their relationships or career. You have also likely joined different programs and therapies to receive help, but the one problem you struggle to cope with is the debilitating shame. It is regarded by professionals as the biggest obstacle that adult victims of child abuse face. I have had many clients who suffered from debilitating shame, and the guilt was so consuming that it was negatively affecting the different aspects of life. Although everyone experiences shame from time to time, adult victims of child abuse have far more issues related to shame when compared to other people. Shame is a natural reaction to abuse, as abuse is humiliating and dehumanizing by nature. This is a feeling of being helpless and at the mercy of another person. These feelings are not only persistent in victims of sexual abuse, but with victims of all abuse. For instance, physical abuse is not only an assault on the body, but an attack on the person's integrity. Emotional abuse is also regarded as murder of the soul. Name-calling, constant criticism, belittling, and unreasonable expectations are different forms that cause emotional abuse, and they can be just as harmful as sexual or physical abuse. I firmly believe that emotional abuse's adverse effects last longer and have far-reaching consequences, and I am speaking all of this because I am an abuse victim myself. Victims who were abused in childhood tend to feel shame as adult human beings. We want everyone to perceive that we are in control of our lives. When we are victimized, we feel humiliated. We regret and ponder that we should be in power, but because we cannot control the situation, we feel ashamed. It is very traumatizing and shameful for children when a parent abuses them. Physical abuse sends the message that the child is terrible and unlovable. Children simply want to be loved, appreciated, and accepted by their parents. As parental love is essential, children will do different things to grasp their attention. Most of the time, children blame themselves when they are abused at the hands of their parents. Shame, the most destructive of human emotions. If you ask anyone about the most destructive human behavior, most of them will choose anger or fear. But actually, it is shame. Shame is the root cause and source of violence, cruelty, destructive relationships, and many addictions. It can damage the self-image and shatter the confidence and self-esteem to the point that the victim becomes self-destructive. Shame is hard to identify and is more insidious as compared to other emotions. It takes over your mind and body. It makes you feel weakened, flattened, and deflated. Some people describe shame as a burning sensation, while others describe it as hot and numb. Many people say that they are unable to speak or think. Shame is a feeling of being exposed and unworthy. When we are ashamed, we want to hide and vanish. This shows from our actions. Our head stoops low, and we curve our body inward to become invisible. Shame also makes us feel isolated and feel apart from other people. Being ashamed feels like being banished and unworthy to others. distinguishing shame from guilt. There is an informal agreement between therapists about the difference between shame and guilt. Although both are very similar, guilt can be understood as feeling disappointed in oneself for committing a specific behavior, while with shame, one can feel disappointed even though there was no violated behavior involved. Some explain the difference between shame and guilt as when we feel guilt. We feel wrong about something we did or refused to do. When we feel shame, we feel wrong about who we are. In other words, guilty people fear punishment, and shame makes a person feel abandoned. Another difference is that we don't tend to feel bad about feeling guilt. In fact, it is viewed as a positive thing, especially how others perceive you. If you feel guilty about something you did, there's a high chance that other people will forgive you. But shame is such a taboo topic that we feel shame about feeling shame. And this is all due to the strong correlation between shame and inferior feelings. Victim or survivor. Another thing that needs to be addressed is using the term victim or survivor. It is more critical when we are describing an adult who was abused as a child. This argument is never ending as a survivor because the word is more empowering than a victim. But the thing is, many clients I have dealt with said they were offended at being called a survivor, especially when their victimization was recent and they were just starting to heal from abuse. They told me they would prefer the word survivor when they have had substantial recovery from the abuse. Being called a survivor also makes them feel as their victimization is being glossed over. Due to this feedback and working closely with abused adults, I prefer to use victims as they are still in the recovery phase. It's not like I don't want you to feel empowered. It is just that I don't want to minimize the abuse you have experienced by avoiding the term victim. I hope that my use of the word victim doesn't offend you. If you consider yourself a survivor, then feel free to substitute the word victim with survivor. I genuinely respect your choice, and from my personal experience with abuse as a child, I can genuinely relate to your preference. In this book, I have also added cases of my clients that I've worked with over the years. Names and identity details are changed to protect their confidentiality. Emma's story: debilitating shame caused by emotional and physical abuse. Emma came to me for help regarding her self-esteem. She told me that she didn't feel good about herself and she let people walk all over her. She said that she struggled to stand up for herself. As an adult, she told me she couldn't control her children as they would get their way all the time. When I inquired why she didn't feel good about herself, she told me she didn't like her appearance. She told me she had a problem with her weight. Like Emma, many people seek therapy as they have low self-esteem and are self-critical. They have difficulty standing up for themselves, even against those who are abusive and demanding. I later learned that her root problem was due to shame. It was causing all of the negative feelings. Growing up, Emma's mother was very critical and demanding of her. Her mother would force her to do a task all over again if she wasn't pleased. She constantly yelled at Emma, and she would scold and criticize her for overeating. After learning about her, I wasn't surprised by Emma's problem. She had built a poor image of herself due to her mother's ill treatment and constant body shaming. An interesting fact was that Emma didn't consider her mother's ill mother's ill treatment as abuse. She would describe her as a task maker as they'd grown up in poverty. She scolded Emma to get good grades and made her do work all over again as she wanted her to have a good work ethic. After several sessions, Emma opened up about the physical violence her mother would inflict on her. She would beat her for not doing the task correctly or for having average grades at school. One time, when Emma rebelled and snapped back at her mother, she told me that her mother's face turned bright red and she leaped on her and beat her violently, which left her bruised. When she opened up, she was not complaining about her mother. She just let me know what an obstinate child she was and blamed herself for her mother's abusive behavior. If you are a victim of childhood abuse, there are high chances that your life has been plagued with debilitating shame. But like Emma, you may not have realized it yet. Why is it so difficult to heal from the shame? Those working closely with childhood abuse victims know how complicated the healing process is, which involves addressing and reducing clients' shame. It is difficult as the victim may realize that they didn't cause the shame, but they will still end up blaming themselves. For many victims, blaming themselves is easier as it is harder for them to imagine someone close to them, such as a grandparent, friend, aunt, or uncle, abusing them. Some victims may feel that they were enjoying themselves at some point during the victimization, which can explain why they might not have stopped it from happening. The same reason is with the victims of physical abuse. They feel that they deserve the beating at the hand of their parents or relatives. They think that being irresponsible in childhood is the reason that they got the beating. Some parents believe that shaming their children will make them obedient and make them behave. Little do they know, this breaks their spirit, and they grow up either hating their parents or fearing them throughout their childhood. This makes the victim rigid, close themselves up, and not let anything good come in. This makes the healing process challenging as they require time and resources to feel safe and open up. Internalized shame. Internalized shame is a deep sense of who a person really is. Victims with internalized shame feel defective and unworthy. It becomes their foundation, and they start to feel that everything around them is inadequate and not good enough. The shame becomes so intense that it takes the shape of the victim's identity. Internalization makes the victim feel shame on their own. They no longer need to be made ashamed to feel this condition. They only need a memory or a hint to trigger the shame. This causes victims to live in a constant state of self-blame and self-criticism. They find it impossible to take compliments, love, and admiration from others. Some of the shame-bound people also resort to depression or anxiety. These people are, in a true sense, broken by debilitating shame.
Damn.
I was just talking about these hugs with these tears, and here he comes hugging with tears. That's okay though, because this is why we have the tissue. Okay, this is why we have this tissue. Some of the people Some of the people suffering from shame chose anger as a defense mechanism. They attack others before they have a chance to attack themselves. This approach drives people away, even if they are just trying to help them. Carrying debilitating shame is like constantly being weighed down by a heavy burden. The shame continues to fester like an open wound that doesn't heal.